A father and son walk in the marshland to hunt for food. Then they hear something moving in the woods and use their binoculars to see what is going on. They see a wild pig quietly eating and slowly crawl closer to it. The son hands his father a bow and arrow, and the father shoots the pig. They follow the trail of blood, only to find that it disappears in the swamp. They leave disappointed. On their way back, they find a child's shoe. They follow the trail and discover an abandoned car. They search the car to find anything useful. The father finds a cigarette butt, while the son finds a biscuit. He eats a couple of pieces, but when his father approaches, he tries to hide it. However, he accidentally hits the horn, and nearby wolves start coming their way. The duo get in the car and quietly wait, knowing they can't outrun the wolves. Fortunately, the wolves pass without noticing them, and the two fall asleep. Next, they wake up and continue their journey home. The son eats the remaining biscuit and throws the wrapper on the ground as they reach their house. Their home is surrounded by many tree branches to hide them from predators and protect them from the cold and rain. They remove one of the branches, open a door to go inside, and put the branch back in its place. Once inside, the son checks on his sick girlfriend, who has a wound on her side. At night, the father boils water and uses the distilled water as their drinking source. The son gives his girlfriend her medicine, and she takes it while the father prepares a smoke from the cigarette butt he found in the car. He goes outside and smokes it as he hears wild animals howl in the wilderness. In the morning, the son wakes up and heads to a nearby toilet. Just then, he sees a group of people approaching and runs back to the house. The father wakes up, puts on his shoes, and gathers the necessary items. He gives the items to his son in a backpack. Then he breaks the back door and helps his family hide in the toilet. After hiding them, he goes to fight the raiders. He manages to hit a few of them, but they overwhelm him in numbers and knock him unconscious. The raiders scout the area and leave, thinking the father is alone. After a moment, they take his jacket and tie him up. The leader of the raiders finds the backpack and searches it. He discovers the girlfriend's medicine and takes the backpack with him. The raiders carry the father and leave, while the leader finds the toilet and tries to open it. The son holds the hatch from the inside, so the leader tries to peek in. However, the smell repels him, and he leaves. Next, the son comes out of the toilet only to find their home trashed. Then he notices the wrapper near the house and realizes it led the raiders to their home. Later, his girlfriend is in intense pain as her wound worsens, and she needs her medicine. Feeling sorry for her, he grabs a pillow to kill her out of mercy. He moves it closer to her face but isn't strong enough to go through with it, so he lets go. Instead, he goes outside, adds more branches to conceal the house, and wraps plastic around his legs since he doesn't have any shoes. Next, he takes a picture of his father and seals the door before leaving the house. He sets out to find her medicine and, if possible, rescue his father. Then, he walks for miles in the cold and sleeps on the ground to rest. Meanwhile, his girlfriend wakes up and tries to leave but can't because her boyfriend sealed the door. Next, the son wakes up when he sees a boy walking nearby. He follows him, but the boy runs into his house upon noticing him. The son also runs and sees the boy closing the door to a room where the boy is staying with his elderly father. Next, the son breaks into the house and grabs a pair of trousers from a chair. He takes the old man's jacket and a shoe from the floor, leaving the house without harming them. Then he follows a trail of blood and comes across a barely burning fire. In the fire, he sees human skeletons, possibly from the cannibal's meal. It could even be his father's body. He can't believe what he sees and vomits in disgust. Afterward, he buries the skeleton and continues his journey. Later, he climbs a tall tree to scout the area and notices smoke rising from a nearby place. However, he falls from the tree and injures himself. The nearby wolves hear the man's fall and begin to gather, so he starts the fire again. Meanwhile, the raiders tend to their wounded and hear the wolves howling nearby. As night falls, the man is surrounded by wolves. He holds a torch and chases them away. The wolves try to attack him, but are scared of the fire and eventually leave. Next, he spends the night there and continues toward the smoke in the morning. On the way, he finds a small tent and decides to explore it. He throws a stone at the tent to check if someone is inside. When there's no response, he walks closer and opens it. Inside, he finds an empty water bottle, a few pieces of cloth, a match, a pocket knife, and a dog whistle in a bag. Just as he steps outside, the boy appears and runs away after seeing him. Next, he reaches a river and sees the raider leader's wife washing knives. She fills the bottle with water and leaves while he watches her from a distance. He picks up a stone and quietly follows her to the raider's settlement. He sees her boil water and then go inside a trailer. He cautiously avoids a trap meant to alert the raiders and sneaks into the trailer. He finds his backpack and searches for his girlfriend's medicine, but doesn't find it. While searching the drawers, the wife returns and attacks him. He dodges her, but she jumps on him and tries to stab him. They struggle for a while until he grabs the stone and knocks her out with a blow to the head. He notices her head bleeding, but decides to leave her alive. Then he goes back into the trailer to continue searching. Just as he does, the raiders return, forcing him to leave quickly. He wipes the blood off the floor and drags her body to the fire, putting her kettle into his backpack. Then he takes her body with him and hides behind a tree to watch the raiders. He sees them arrive with the boy, whom they are preparing to eat. The leader walks near the trailer but doesn't notice anything unusual. After that, he gives the medicine to their injured member and leaves the settlement, walking past his wife's body without realizing it. Meanwhile, the son's girlfriend is in pain. She cleans her wounds as best as she can and waits eagerly for his return. Next, the raiders prepare to cook the boy, and the son is nearly caught when one of the raiders comes near his hiding spot to pee. When the man returns, he finds the wife's axe and wonders how it got there. He informs his crew about the axe and they start searching for her. The son quickly buries the wife and crawls into the settlement, passing through a pile of skeletons from the people the raiders had eaten. He reaches the boy and tries to free him, but the boy screams, thinking he is one of the raiders. However, the injured crew member assumes the boy is just scared and doesn't go outside to check. The son then uses his pocket knife to free the boy, and the boy runs away. The injured man steps outside to kill the boy, but finds no one. The son tries to unlock a suitcase, knowing the medicine is inside, but it is locked. He realizes the crew is returning and quickly hides under the trailer. The leader gets angry with the injured man for letting the boy escape and knocks him out with his stick. Then the leader checks his suitcase and notices mud on the lock, realizing someone was there. They all leave after finding the wife's body. At night, the raiders burn the wife's body, and the son notices the key to the lock hanging around the leader's neck. In the morning, the son sneaks back into the trailer, holding a match in his hand. He uses a stick to light the way in the dark trailer and finds the raiders sleeping together. Carefully, he approaches the leader and lights another stick. He reaches for the key and cuts it off the leader's neck. The leader stirs but doesn't wake, and the son takes the key. Next, he rushes outside to the suitcase, unlocks it, and finds the medicine inside. He takes it and locks the raiders inside the trailer before running back to his girlfriend. However, he trips on the trap outside, which wakes the raiders. They track him and begin chasing him as he runs toward his house. Meanwhile, back at the house, the girlfriend is surrounded by wolves. On the way, the leader finds the injured man struggling to run, throws him to the ground, and kills him by stepping on his neck. The raiders catch up to the son and try to attack him with arrows, but he is too quick and manages to outrun them. Then he reaches the house of the elderly man and the boy, but notices wolf tracks around it. When he enters, he realizes the elderly man has been eaten by wolves. Next, the son leaves the house disappointed, but the raiders catch up with him and knock him out from behind. When he gains consciousness, he finds himself tied to a log being carried to the settlement. Then they place him near a fire as they prepare to cook him. He tries to untie himself but cannot. When they leave him for a while, he notices his pocket knife on the ground and crawls toward it. However, the leader kicks the knife away, burns the photo of his father, and forces the son to watch as they sharpen their blades. Next, the son notices the dog whistle nearby and slowly crawls toward it. He grabs it with his mouth and blows the whistle. The raiders quickly stop him, but it is too late. The wolves are already alerted and heading their way. Then the raiders abandon him as they flee, knowing the wolves are the real predators. The son quickly retrieves his knife and cuts himself free. He hides under a log as the wolves chase the raiders. After the wolves pass, he gathers his clothes and the medicine. Meanwhile, the leader, unable to run as fast as the others, stabs one of his crew to slow the wolves down. He escapes into the woods as the wolves tear the woman apart. The son dresses quickly and runs back toward his girlfriend. When the remaining 3 raiders return to the settlement, they discover the son has neither been eaten nor is near the fire. They split up to follow his trail while the son, Exhausted, falls and decides to rest near a tree. Next, one of the raiders spots him from behind and sneaks toward him. But the son is not on the ground, he is on the tree. The son jumps down onto the raider and the two begin to fight. The raider locks him in a chokehold with his arms and legs. Struggling, the son sees a knife nearby and reaches for it. After a while, another raider arrives and sees what appears to be his companion, dragging the son's lifeless body. Relieved, the second raider approaches, only to discover that it's the son wearing the first raider's clothes. The son surprises him and stabs him, killing him too. The son then takes the second raider's bow and arrow and heads toward the leader. Disguised in the raider's clothes, he prepares for the final confrontation. The son shoots the leader in the leg with his arrow before the leader realizes he is not one of his men. Then he moves closer and tries to shoot again, but his anger gets the better of him, and he accidentally breaks the bow by stretching it too far. Left with no long-range weapon, the two men prepare for hand-to-hand combat with their knives. Suddenly, they hear the wolves approaching. The son decides to leave the leader behind, knowing he can easily outrun him. Moments later, the wolves reach the leader and attack him as the son escapes. With no one chasing him, the son quickly runs toward his girlfriend. On the way, he stumbles upon a house he hasn't seen before. On the front porch, he finds a dead body of a woman who has shot herself. He takes the gun from her and goes inside. There, he finds a larger gun along with a box full of bullets. He notices that the water is running perfectly fine from the tap and drinks as much as he can. He fills his bottle and collects some canned food from the kitchen. Then he hears someone enter the house and is shocked to see it as the leader. Grabbing the gun, he tries to shoot, but it is empty. The leader attacks him with a knife, and they fight fiercely. The leader jumps on him and tries to strangle him, but the son presses on the leader's wounded leg, causing him to howl in pain. Seizing the moment, the son grabs a smaller gun he found earlier and shoots the leader in the head, killing him. Afterward, the son stops by the elderly man and boy's house. Leaving behind some canned food for the boy in case he is alive, the son heads home as quickly as he can. When he finally reaches his house, he finds the door open. Panicking, he rushes inside to check, only to discover the house is empty. Overwhelmed with grief, he collapses to the ground and cries. Then a woman approaches him from behind and gently touches his shoulder, but her face is never revealed. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.